All right, I got some questions for you. What opens with Black Deputy Beck being confronted with a gun in his face by the father of the young man he killed? And what closes with the police union dropping the black cop? He still has a job, but he ain't gonna get them legal fees covered. And the Department of Justice folks looking at a mural. If you guess shots fired, betrayal of trust, Season 1, Episode 2, you're correct. I'm Angela. This is The Fabulous You, and I'm doing a review of Shots Fired. Stick around, like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for being here, fabulous ones. So Black Officer Beck is in uniform, so I guess he's getting home from work. He has a gun drawn on him by Jesse Carr's father. That's the white man who was killed by the black police officer Beck. And Beck pulls out his gun. He ends up talking the man down. Then we see Ash on the phone with her lawyer. Kai's daddy, Javier, wanted her to abort Kai. He didn't even want the child. Now he wants full custody of the child. Preston, we see him drinking green juice, talking about lying about he's going to get breakfast. He drinking that green juice for breakfast. And he's leaving Ash a voicemail saying he's going to get breakfast. He'll catch up with her in about an hour. And then he goes into the hood I think he's looking for the pedal biker Jersey boy, young man who's been missing in action since the end of the last episode, so we don't really know how much time has passed, but I think he's looking for him. And we see the beginning of artwork of Joey Campbell. It's going to be going up on a building in the neighborhood. Then we're at the funeral of the Jesse Carr, the young white person who was murdered. The paparazzi is outside of Officer Beck's place. They're trying to figure out next scene who leaked the video of Black Beck. There's tension with the Department of Justice, Preston, and Ash about whether to focus on or care about or investigate the Black Campbell situation or the White Carr situation. So both of these are young people who are dead within the last month, but they were only called out officially to investigate Carr. You probably already know this, but this Campbell situation has come up. So Ash seems to be on the black side and Preston seems to be on the white side. Okay, so then it looks like Reverend Janae, Ash, and Preston, and then there's some people from Chosen House, that's Reverend Janae's church, are singing. They're the only black people at the white young man's funeral. The governor is there. Joey Campbell's mom is watching the funeral on TV, and she say they gonna crucify him, talking about Black Officer Beck. And we see Officer Beck stressing he's on desk duty. They having a roll call or where they get people their assignments for the day, and everybody going out, and he's sitting, going out to do whatever, and he's left at the desk. Oh, boo-hoo. We see the press with the governor. This is a time for prayer, not politics. The governor is asking, then we see the governor bring Preston into her car, and she's asking why Black Officer Beck has not been arrested. And she also invites Preston and his dad to an event. He says his dad is going to be in town. And then we see the press with Reverend Janae, and she says, I'm glad the governor is here. It's unnatural for a child to bury, it's unnatural for a parent to bury a child. And will the governor show support for moms on the other side of town, like Joey Campbell's mom? No investigation, no motorcade, no empathy in her case. So we see that. And then we see Preston going to a black restaurant. There's a black restaurant owner, Mr. D, and, they kind of chit-chatting. Preston is trying to get a salad. He healthy, green juice, salad. I see him. And the guy's like, the only greens we got been cooked for 17 hours with pork or whatever. But he does end up getting him a salad, and they chit-chat. And Preston asks him if Mr. D ever fed Joey Campbell, who's the young black man who is dead. Then the next thing we see is the football coach's daughter playing football. I have a hard time sometimes telling people apart. So apparently this football coach is the captain, the sheriff boss. His daughter is playing football. He tells her, go do whatever they do in football, and she runs off, and then he snatches up, a young black player, and it looks to me when they run off the field that he the only black player there, and he say, your black ass better block her like your life depends on it, because it does. Nothing better happen to her, so yeah, the team is all white. And Ash, after the game, Ash walks up on him asking about the threat to Joey Campbell's mom, and them telling the mom to be quiet about her son's death or lose her other child. Now, I think it's the captain, because when she said she was going last episode, when she invited the boys, the officers, to choir practice, meaning that's code for going to the bar, I think the boss is like, nah, I don't go to choir practice, or he ain't going with her. So she done caught him someplace else. He kind of like, well, how you catch me here? She like, well, you wouldn't talk to me. I'm an investigator. I'm gonna catch up with you. We gonna talk. And he says that the reason that he told the mom to be quiet, or his version of events with the mom, is that she knew that her son, Joey Campbell, was dealing drugs, and she did nothing about it. And he's trying to protect her other son from a life of crime and being killed and murdered. His daughter ends up coming to him trying to, play the father against the mother. Her mother says she can't go to this party. She trying to go to the party. So she is asking her daddy, oh, daddy, can I go to the party or whatever? And then she's like, no, it's kind of racist for you to say your black ass to the black player. And he like, I just wanted him to protect you. I'm not being racist just because I called him black. Now get your white ass out of here and go to the party. I thought that was a good enough point. We see Black Officer Beck with two white officers. One is Brooks, who's supportive. Now, I don't know if we saw him in episode 1, but I definitely didn't notice him. But it gets established during this episode that that's supposed to be like his boy. And then with another one who's mad. And Beck punches the mad officer. And then they fight. And then the mad white officer threatens Black Officer Beck. So we see that it is not all, sweetness and light in the police. In the sheriff's office, some of them are mad at Black Beck for his statements. We see Preston with his father. I told you his father was in town. And, you get the impression that he was supposed to be, the dad is like, well, why aren't you staying with your brother? He like, well, bro lived 45 minutes outside of town. And, and then bro rolls up in his fancy sports car and parks and jumps out, and he's waving and chatting to the fans, and dad is all happy. And he kind of interrupts. The brother interrupts the breakfast plans that the Preston had with his dad. And Preston is like, you can go on, but we can kind of see his feelings are kind of hurt. As they're investigating, trying to figure out who actually did the recording of Officer Beck saying, I finally got my license to kill these crackers, or kill some crackers or whatever. It turns out that it was his cousin. The father says it was his nephew Junior who did that recording at the Academy graduation celebration party. So Preston and Ash show up at a club, because the dad is like, well, I don't know where he is now, but I know where he's going to be tonight. So Preston and Ash show up at the club. And my favorite line in this episode, there were two that she said, but Ash, you be coming up with some lines. But, she's asking him questions, and he say something, and she say, I'm going to ask you not to be basic. I'm going to ask you not to be basic. I mean, if somebody is basic, can they not be basic just because you ask? But I guess it's good to ask, and I love that line. She said it way better than I said it, but I just was like, she gonna ask him not to be basic? Okay. Junior says that the police took my phone over a year ago when I was arrested. So no, I did not leak it. I don't even have that tape. Oh, are you still there? Sorry. I don't even have that phone. I don't even have that recording anymore. It turns out he was arrested for jaywalking, and he was arrested by Officer Beck's best friend, the white guy, Caleb Brooks, was the arresting officer. They find Preston and Ash when they go investigate, because, you know, that's what they're here to do. Department of Justice is investigating. We see Ash watching a video of her with her daughter Kai. Preston, we see Preston is at the governor's event and his dad is not there. We meet the black Reverend DuPont. It's like a reverend, the sheriff, white sheriff boss man, and another guy who is hosting the fundraiser for the governor. And it turns out that they're at the site of a new facility that he's about to open, and the facility is a private prison. The new slavery, the new old slavery, because it's not really that new, because it started right after the so-called Emancipation Proclamation. The unjust and the disproportionate locking up and enslavement of re-enslavement of black folks, or continued ongoing enslavement of black folks. But anyway, this man has a private prison. It's in the making. He about to open it up, talking about they're going to have the best schools on their facility. And we see, you know, kind of Preston. He look as uncomfortable as I feel, although he's, you know, smooth, suave or whatever about it, because he's a professional. So he's in his professional context. But he steps away to call his dad. Where you at, Dad? And the father is basically blowing him off to be with Preston's baller brother. We see that Preston who's the DOJ investigator, he's continuing to the sexting continues between him and the governor's assistant. I'm sorry, I don't know her name, assistant. So baller brother Mace, I think that's his name, does a roll up on Ash. And hold on one second, let me just read this so I can get this right. Ash is like, I can't read it because it's still my summary. Ash is like, no, I'm good. He trying to come in and get some more sex. She like, no, I'm good. And he like, if you want to act like a random groupie chick, I'm going to treat you like a random groupie chick. And Ash is like, it's kind of hard to do that when you the one standing outside of my door. And then she closes the door. You're dismissed. Woo, Ash, girl, you were right about that, though. He the one pursuing you. Shoot, you don't want to be bothered with his ass. So he the groupie. Okay, Pastor Janae's video clip is blowing up where she said, you know, we're the governor for the black people. The governor here for this funeral. Why ain't the governor there for the black people when they be having funerals? You care about the people of your state. What about the black people of the state? So it's blowing up. The governor's is meeting with the black male pastor DuPont. I guess that's like her black pastor. He's supposed to deliver, you know, the black vote, the black things, the black people, you know, and then in return she gets money to his projects, his organizations, his people. Quid pro quo politics. So she kind of chastising him, you know, and he says, well, Janae does not have a stronghold in the black community. And the governor's assistant says, but she does have a big internet stronghold. And he says, social media does not compare with the powers of the press. I know the game. I know the people. So, you know, it's kind of like we're in changing times now, and times are always changing, but the balance is really shifting now, so that, you know, kind of the old school way that he did things is not going to work. You know, we're seeing that it's not going to work anymore. What he had kind of wrapped up and, you know, figured out, he going to have to readjust or die. And in the meantime, it looked like Janae is going to get her come up. So we switched to Janae. She's in a I Love Black People t-shirt, and she's holding a protest at the courthouse, and the Reverend DuPont shows up, and they argue privately. But publicly, you know, they act like, you know, he act like he getting along with her. And he's, well, let us pray. And, you know, they kneel down, and the people at the protest kneel down, and he starts the prayer. And then Reverend Janae usurps that prayer. And, you know, part of her prayer is talking about, you know, we're humble, angry servants of God, which I felt was really timely, because y'all remember when there was the shooting of the 9 people at church in South Carolina, North Carolina, I'm sorry, I can't think of it right now. And the people were, a lot of the press that I saw, I'm not saying that that was all of the people, but there was a lot of press where people were like, the next day, I forgive him, I forgive him, I forgive him. And it's kind of like, well, gosh darn, don't you feel a little upset? Aren't you a little angry? But that's part of the propaganda that we're supposed to, as Black people, forgive and, be happy and not be mad and not try to get revenge. Yeah, you done beat my mama, you done beat my father, you done killed my brother, you killed my sister, you killed my child, you killed my parents, you done stole my labor, you lied to me, you lied about me, you done treated me like stuff, like boo-boo, but I forgive you. I'm not angry at you. That's part of our job. We're supposed to be forgiving. And it was just kind of like, it was weird, and I heard one person who was interviewed who had said, was it Charleston? I don't know where it was, but, who said that, a lot of these people are in a financial situation where they can't really afford to say anything negative publicly because, that's how they eat. If they say the wrong things, they're going to lose their jobs. So the right thing to say is, I forgive, and we can we all just get along? I can get along. So anyway, I love that anger piece. And if you haven't watched it, you need to at least watch that scene, because I thought that was, that was good. So she led the prayer, and then he said, Reverend DuPont, he hugged her. Oh, wasn't that a wonderful prayer? And he can feel things are shifting, and if he hadn't realized it before, and I don't think he had realized it before, he is really realizing that times they are changing. So he hugs her and he says, whispers in her ear, leading prayer is one thing, leading people is another. And then he smiles and waves and gets back in his car. So that's interesting. We see Black Officer Beck in a security t-shirt, and his white officer buddy Caleb Brooks is riding with him. They roll up on his cousin Junior, and they ask Junior, did he leak the video? Junior is like, no, I didn't leak the video. Ask your white boyfriend, your bro friend, your bromance here, because he's the one who had my phone, did he leak the video? So it's kind of like a tension between Junior and Brooks, and Black and white, birth fam or blue fam. Who is Black Officer Beck gonna believe? Who is he loyal to? Who is he gonna trust? Who does he, what's up? Oh, my phone is doing this thing. So we see Preston and Sheriff. Oh, I don't know what I have to do to not have my phone do this thing, y'all. Okay. So we see Preston and Sheriff Boss in the boss sheriff's office. Preston lets the sheriff know that the pedal bike Jersey kid Corey is missing, and the sheriff boss is like, white sheriff boss is like, I thought you were here for Carr, who's the white child or white young man who was killed by Black Officer Beck. Then we have a scene with Ash with Joey Campbell's mom. And Joey Campbell's mom is doing hair in her kitchen salon. And she said that this woman Kiana, a couple houses down or whatever, says she was a witness to what happened to Joey Campbell, but she's just moved out. She's gone. Then we have we learn that Kai's daddy is not backing down. Ash learns that on the phone with her lawyer. Javier is saying that Ash is refusing to get help for emotional trauma that she suffered on the job. So there's a backstory there that we don't know about, but she definitely, I don't think it's, healthy or productive to throw a vase at somebody's head, even though she didn't hit the woman. But, I know we get angry. We all get angry sometimes, Mama Ash, but, there might be some better ways to handle that. So we see the daddy and the son, Preston and his father, and the father is like, you're smart, you've always been smart, we know you're smart, but the plan was for you to go to the World Series. That's the caliber of baseball player that you were, and I thought that you would have your suit and tie gig after your rings. And the son is like, look, I'm a lead Department of Justice prosecutor on this case. It's gonna blow up in the city, it might blow up in the state, it might blow up in the country. this is my World Series. And his daddy is like, there is only one World Series, and this is not the World Series, boo-boo. So his father is basically, there's some tension between not only the two brothers, but the brother and his father. The athletic brother seems to get along good with his father. And the father is the guy who played the president, the black president. I think it was on 24. And he's also like the voice of an insurance company, maybe. Okay, so Ash and Preston both don't trust each other. They have an interaction where it's kind of established that they both been going behind each other's back, and they need to work they decide together that they need to work the assigned case as well as the unassigned case, and that they have to trust each other. They're partners. They find out working together that Reverend Jane is a vigilante, and she had Joey Campbell tuned up, meaning she had his behind beat for selling drugs. At least that's what somebody on the street tells us. And I think that also in that scene, we find out that Preston mentioned the Joey Campbell case to White Boss Sheriff to get it on the DOJ records or something so that they could whatever. He was kind of like working the system. We see Reverend Janae sitting in her church. I don't think she's in prayer, but somebody comes up to her and lets her know that the governor is on the phone for her. They walk away. Reverend Janae looks up and she smiles. I don't know if she had been kind of pressing for that position, but, part of during the episode, we had learned that it may be this episode or the last episode that she and the governor's old Reverend DuPont, he wouldn't let her speak in his pulpit, and, it seemed like there was some other interaction they had where he had basically, dismissed her and wouldn't give her props. So now she about to replace him. Or that's what it looks like. We see the sheriff boss at dinner, and they're at the black officer Beck's house. His wife is, feed serving them whatever you want dessert, and they're chit-chatting. They're all happy and smiling, and Officer Beck is expressing his appreciation for the support that the sheriff boss has given him, and how it's really important to him. And the sheriff boss says, look, his wife has stepped out of the room. He says, I'm not going to BS you or, whatever. I respect you enough to tell you the truth. You still have your job. You still got your job, but the union is not supporting you. So, they're not going to cover your legal fees. You're on your own for that. And he's kind of, Black Officer Beck is kind of like, and his wife comes in the room and she's like, ha, ha, ha. And she sees her husband's face and it's like, huh. And then we see a shot of the mural. I guess it's supposed to be Joey Campbell. Now, all throughout, we see these flashes of his funeral program. So I guess I should recognize his face by now. But that's it. That was the episode of Shots Fired. Did you see it? Are you watching? Shots Fired? Are you seeing? Are you watching? What you think? Are you going to have a fabulous, wonderful day today? I am. Be you, be fabulous you, and thanks for watching. Bye.